Just before I relate the tale of Sidney Brazel, a little background to the war in the Balkans, where Sidney and Winifred served. The Salonika campaign is often referred to as the Forgotten War. Forgotten it may have been by those back home, but certainly by those involved. Salonika, by the way, is today known as Thessalonica. British involvement began in 1915, when some of their army landed in Salonika to join their French allies. The aim of the campaign was to provide support to the Serbians to repel the combined forces of Germany, Austro-Hungary and Bulgaria. Sidney Thomas Brazel, the third child of Annie and George, and he was born in Chesham on the 28th of December, 1896. He went to St Mary's School, Back Lane, where he got the nickname of Shiddles. I've absolutely no idea why, but he was known as Shiddles from there on. On the 3rd of October 1914, he enlisted for the army. He was 18 years and 2 months old, and his occupation was stated to be an engineer. He was ordered to serve with the Royal Army Service Corps as a driver and engineer, and left for France on the 19th of June 1916 with his corps of 308 soldiers, 4 officers, lorries, ambulances and motorcycles. They were based initially at Rouen and then moved up towards Arras. They were engaged in moving huge amounts of supplies such as coal, trench mortars and road materials to a dump near Arras. The war diaries of Shiddles' company show them moving around a great deal in France, but eventually they were ordered to serve in Salonika and arrived in Marseille at the end of November 1916. Here they played a game of football against Marseille Olympique and beat them 9-0. It took 15 days to load the many lorries onto the transport ship, the SS Hover, and the men who did it, Shiddles included, had no proper place to sleep during those 15 days. They had to make do with sleeping in old racehorse standings and betting sheds. Okay, if it was fine, but when the weather turned too cold and windy, the conditions for the men were not too pleasant, the diaries say. Well, that didn't put Shiddles off having a good time, as he often talked later of the beautiful French lady he met in Marseille, whom he only ever referred to afterward as Mademoiselle. Who was she? On the 16th of December 1916, the SS Megantic steamed off to Salonika, arriving on the 21st of December. The winter of 1916-17 was bitter and ferocious, making the work of Shiddles' company particularly difficult. Lorries took twice the time to supply deliveries because of the terrible roads and snow. The vehicles had to spend a lot of time in the workshops for repair. On the 17th of August 1917, there was a devastating fire in the Turkish quarter of Salonika town. There was not enough water for firefighting because the Allied forces controlled reserve to serve their camps and hospitals in the suburbs of the city. More significantly, the city government did not have an organised fire brigade. 2 British fire engines went into the city and stopped the fire from destroying its iconic landmark, the White Tower. I think it's very likely that Shiddles was in one of those fire engines. 72,000 Greeks were made homeless, as is recorded in Shiddles' company's war diary on the 19th of August 1917.
30 lorries were employed on local transport work, chiefly carting refugees and their belongings clear of the town, which was still burning fiercely in places. 3 lorries in the afternoon carrying water to the refugees.
This work continued for a further 3 days in the blistering heat of a Greek summer. The exhaustion must have been extreme for Sidney and his mates to bear. This heroic firefighting and rescue work was in addition to their normal duties. As the winter of 1917-18 approached, the weather deteriorated and blizzard after blizzard blew across this unforgiving terrain, followed by heavy rain in April. A severe thunderstorm ensued, causing
an electrical explosion within 20 yards at the petrol pump. It ripped up posts and wire and fused a number of electrical lamps in the camp. The flash and report of the explosion equaled a number 4.5 explosion shells bursting at once.
Sidney contracted malaria and dysentery and was admitted to hospital. Winifred heard about this in letters from home, so she made inquiries of her Scottish medical friends. They found out what hospital he was in and immediately arranged for him to be transferred to her hospital, the 48th General. He arrived by ambulance in pretty poor shape, which he shared with a number of other soldiers, all of whom were dead. Winifred nursed him into sufficient health for transfer to Malta. He did not recover enough to go back to Salonika, so was sent home in September 1918 and admitted to the 4th London General Hospital, Denmark Hill. His brother John was sent to pick him up in a pony and trap from Amersham station and remarked in his book, "He looked a different person to me in his hospital blue uniform, having lost a tremendous amount of weight." Hardly surprising, really, in view of what he'd been through. He served his country for a period of in excess of 2 years.